Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Mohammed Kubaib. In this video, we are going to discuss about MSIX App Attach for Azure Virtual Desktop and Citrix DaaS. If you like this video, please subscribe and hit the bell icon for the future updates. If you want to learn more about Azure, Citrix or FSlogix technologies, you can check out my bestseller Udemy course, which is also available in Udemy for Business. MSIX App Attach is a feature of Microsoft Azure Virtual Desktop solution. It is designed to dynamically attach the MSIX application container to the AVD session host. So before jumping into MSIX App Attach, first we need to understand what is MSIX. So MSIX is a Windows app package format that provides a modern packaging experience to all Windows apps. The common packaging formats available as of today are MSIX, MSI, AppV and IntuneWin. Let's try to understand what is packaging and why it is required. Consider you're managing an organization which may have thousands of VDI or physical PCs, etc. So let's say you have a requirement to roll out some application, whether it is MSI or EXE, etc. So it is practically impossible to roll out manually across all hundreds or thousands of virtual desktop or physical PCs. There comes packaging. So packaging will help us to deploy applications across multiple VDIs or physical PCs. So ideally we are converting or we are doing a modification to the application and we will convert that application into packaging format such as MSIX, MSI, AppV or IntuneWin. Once we convert into this format, either we can use any tool such as SCCM or any third-party tool, push those packages to the end user devices, either it could be physical PCs or virtual machines. So when it comes to MSIX App Attach for Azure Virtual Desktop or Citrix DaaS, it will help us to decouple applications from the operating system. So you don't need to install applications on the operating system. You can create individual packages for each application. So you can dynamically attach the MSIX application package to the host pool or session hosts, so that whenever user logs in, he will find his applications. However, those applications are not installed locally on the virtual machine. It is actually get attached from the network share through MSIX App Attach. So basically we will have an application, for example 7-zip. So we will convert this 7-zip into MSIX package. We have a tool called MSIX packaging tool. It is from Microsoft. So we need to use that tool to convert the 7-zip into MSIX package. So once we have the 7-zip in a MSIX format, then we will convert this into a container, which is nothing but VHD or VHDX container. So once we have this VHD or VHDX, we will put this VHDX or VHD file in a network share. So from the network share, we will attach those packages or containers to our session host or application session host or host pools. So this is the end-to-end procedure how we can convert an application to a container. Let's see the architecture of MSIX App Attach. So consider this is your host pool. This host pool, you may have hundreds of virtual machines, and then you have your storage account. So inside storage account we have our share. Inside this share we will have MSIX application packages. For example, we have 7zip.vhd and similarly we may have notepad.vhd, etc. So using Azure portal, what we are going to do is we are going to attach this VHD to the host pool. So whenever the user logs into the host pool or session host, he will see the applications. However, these applications are not locally installed on the operating system. It is gets attached from the network share. This is as similar to FSlogix, where we are segregating user profile or user data. Similarly, here we are segregating the applications. So ideally, your session host doesn't have any application. It will only have the operating system. This is how we can decouple the user profile using FSlogix and application using MSIX App Attach, so that we can keep our session host very clean only with the operating system. Let's see the requirement. So in order to configure MSIX App Attach, we should have a Azure Virtual Desktop infrastructure and then we should have a Azure Virtual Desktop host pool with at least one active session host, and then we need a packaging tool, and then we need to have an application which needs to be packaged, and then we should have a file share to store our application package, and then we need to have a certificate. Either it could be a publicly trusted certificate, or if you don't have, you can create a self-signed certificate. Basically, you need this certificate to sign the application during the packaging. And very important, you need to define the permission on the storage or file share to have a read-only permission to the session host as well as for the users. So these are the prerequisites to deploy MSIX package to Citrix virtual desktops or Citrix VDI. The procedure is slightly different. So I have given the link in the description where you can find how to configure for the Citrix DaaS or Citrix VDIs. So the advantage of MSIX App Attach is it creates separation between user data, operating system and apps. Because we are not going to install anything on the operating system or virtual machines, it is completely isolated and it is attached from the network share. So there is no dependency with the user data or operating system or any other operating system related parameters. And the second one, reduce the time it takes for a user to sign in. So in a traditional environment, when user logs in, it will load all the registry related to application, operating system, etc. So it may increase the user logon time. However, when we are using MSIX App Attach, we are not locally installing the application, so there is no way it is loading the setup files or registry, etc. So it will help us to reduce the login time. Third one is reduce infrastructure requirement and cost. This is very important. When we compare with the traditional solution such as VMware App Volume or Citrix App Layering, it requires a lot of infrastructure and lot of effort and time to build the infrastructure in your data center or public cloud. However, MSIX App Attach, it is inbuilt with Microsoft Azure Virtual Desktop. It requires a very minimal time and effort as well as cost to deploy and implement. Let's see how to create MSIX App Attach for our Azure Virtual Desktop. So first we need to create a virtual machine, which is also called a staging virtual machine. On this virtual machine, we are going to install the application which we wanted to do the packaging or MSIX App Attach package. So I'm going to the virtual machine blade and I will create a virtual machine. For this, I am choosing a Windows 10 operating system. Accordingly, as per your requirement, you can either choose Windows 10 or Windows 11. So I have selected the subscription resource group and I have assigned the name as well. And then the location is Central US. So the operating system or image, I have selected Windows 10 multi-session 21H2. And then I have selected the SKU as B2MS. And then I have defined over here the local admin credential. And for the firewall, I allowed 3389 because this is required for the RDP connection. Accept the licensing terms and condition, and then we can click next. Here I am choosing standard HDD since it is a lab. And then I will click next. Here I am going to select the VNet and the subnet details, as well as I am defining public IP address because I wanted to take the remote. If it is a corporate environment, then don't define public IP address. You can take the remote through your VPN or express route connectivity. Under network interface card network security group, I am selecting none because I have an NSG attached to my production subnet. I am going to select review and create, and then I will proceed with creating the virtual machine. The review is completed and now I am going to click on create so that it will create a VM. Then we will proceed. The VM is created now, so I am going to take a RDP of this VM. I have taken the RDP. So let's proceed with the MSIX App Attach procedure. So before we proceed, we need to disable the automatic update of MSIX App Attach. To do that, we need to create some registry entries. So these are the commands. So it will help you to disable the automatic update of MSIX App Attach. Let's execute all the commands. So I'm going to select the first one. Similarly, I'm going to execute the second command. So let's execute the remaining two commands, which is this. So now we have disabled the automatic upgrade of our MSIX app attach. So let's install MSIX packaging tool. To download MSIX packaging tool, we need to go to the Windows Store. So here we need to search for MSIX. So we need to select this application and then we will install this application. Click on Get. Click on No Thanks for the sign in. And then hit on Install. So it will download and install the MSIX packaging tool. So now we have the tool. So let's launch this tool. Here select Accept. So now we need to have a certificates. Either you can use public certificate, and if you don't have public certificate, or if you are performing this activity in the lab, you can generate a self-signed certificates. So to generate a self-signed certificate, we can use this command. So basically this will create a certificate along with the key so that we can export in a PFX format, which is required for the MSIX app packaging. So I'm going to copy this command and I'm going to execute it in the PowerShell. Before running this command, we need to modify the command. So here under CN name, which is common name, we need to enter our name, which is, in my case, it is VDA bus. So once you alter the command based on your requirement, then copy and then execute in the PowerShell. So now we have the certificate ready. So to get the certificate, we need to load the MMC and then we need to load certificate snap-in. Then select certificate and under that select my computer and finish. So here if you go to personal, so you will find the certificate which we generated. So now we need to export this. So I'm going to select all task and then export. So here we need to export along with the key because we need a PFX format. So click next. Here enter the password for the certificate. So I'm going to enter the password. So here we need to select the destination where you wanted to keep the file. So I'm going to keep it here in the desktop. So click save and click next and finish. So now we have the certificate which is in the PFX format. So if you go to the desktop, you can find that certificates over here. So now we have the packaging tool, we have the MSIX certificate which is in a PFX format. Now we need to have an application. So in this example, I'm going to test the MSIX app attach with the 7-zip. So I'm going to download the 7-zip exe. So here it is the exe file for the 7-zip. So I'm going to download it. Similarly, you can download any other application as per your requirement, either maybe browser or any other application, so that you can package it and publish it through MSIX app attach concept. So now we have application as well. So let's launch the packaging tool and we need to select application package. So once we select, we need to select the create package on this computer. Click next. So here for a time being, we need to select Windows Search Active is active. We have to disable this service. So then click next. Here we need to select our setup file, which is our 7-zip exe. So I'm going to select this. Here under signing preference, we need to select sign in with the certificate, which is the PFX which we have exported. I'll choose the certificate and here I'm going to enter the password for the certificate which I have defined while exporting. Then click next. Here we need to give the name. So I'm going to give 7-zip. So I'm going to define the same name everywhere. So under the version, I'm going to select version 1.0. So as per your requirement, you can choose the same. And then we'll click next. So here we need to click on install. Now it will prompt us to install the 7-zip on this machine so that it can capture everything with respect to the 7-zip. So 7-zip has been installed. I'm going to click close, and then we need to click next, and then we can click next again and click on yes, move on, and then we have to click next once again. So now this is the last step. We need to click on create to create our MSIX package. The package has been successfully created. So now click on close and close this window as well, or minimize the window. So as you can see, we have the 7-zip package now. Now we have created the package. So we need to convert this package into VHD. So to do that, we need to download a tool. So I'm going to the Chrome browser and I'm going to download the tool. So we can get the tool which will convert from the MSIX format into VHD. So we can go to aka.ms/msixmgr. So this will download the tool. So here we have the tool. So let's go to this path and we will extract this file. So once it got extracted, copy this file and go to the C drive and paste that and paste it over here. And then we can open a command prompt. Point the command prompt to the MSIX app package folder cd ... So now go to the MSIX package folder and then go to 64-bit, and here we need to enter a command which is msixmgr.exe followed by some commands. So now we will copy this package into C drive under MSIX MGR. So I'm going to paste it over here, and then I will copy the path, which is this path, and then we have to go to the notepad. So here we have a command. This will convert from .msix package into .vhdx format. So here I am going to modify the source, which is my MSIX, and destination I'm going to keep the same. Rest everything is as it is. Now we have to go to the command prompt and point our command prompt to the MSIX folder which we copied to the C drive. So as you see, I have pointed to C MSIX MGR then x64. So now we need to copy this command, which is msix.exe, then unpack the MSIX into vhdx. So I'm going to copy here and I'll paste it in the command prompt, and then we will execute it. So now the command runs successfully, and it converted .msix into VHD with the size of 1 GB. So we have provided the size for the VHD file. If I go to my path, so as you can see, we have some 7-zip VHD disk. So now we have converted MSIX into VHDX file. Now we will go to the Azure storage. Either it may be Azure file or Azure NetApp file. So we will copy this 7-zip VHD into the storage, and then from the portal we will mount this to our session host, so that without installing any application such as 7-zip on your operating system, you can dynamically get the application using MSIX App Attach. So the next step is we need to create a group. So we need to add our computer or session host to that group. So in this example, I'm already created a group which is AVD comps, which is synced to Azure AD using Azure AD Connect. So if I open this group and if I go to the members, so here I need to add my session host. So in this example, I'm going to add the session host which is AVD-0. Here under object type, we need to select computers, and then we can click OK. So now our computer or session host is added to this particular group. So all the computers in this group will be synchronized with Azure AD. So if I go to my Azure AD, if I browse to groups, I should be able to see the group which is AVD comps, and if I open this group and if I select members, I should be able to see the computers. I have performed force sync, so this will initiate a forced synchronization between my on-premise and Azure Active Directory. So now I should be able to see my computer object under the group in Azure Active Directory. So now you can see the computer object is visible under my Azure Active Directory. So now we need to go to our storage account and we need to define some permission based on this particular group. So let's copy the group name and I'm going to the storage account. So in this storage account, I'm going to identity and access management. Here I'm going to define the permission which is SMB data contributor. So I'm going to search for SMB and here I'm going to select SMB data share contributor, and then I'm going to enter the group name which we created. So this group basically we created for the computer objects. So similarly we need to define the permission for the users as well. So if I go back to the same blade, so I'm going to select for SMB and then I'll click next. Here I'm going to select the user. So this is the user which is my VDI user. So we need to give the same permission. So I'm going to select same role and same permission and I'm going to assign it. Now we have defined a role based access control. So now we need to define some anti-FS permissions on the share. Under my storage account I have the share which is MSIX. So if I go inside this and if I go to properties, here I can get the full path for my SMB share. So I'm going to copy this. So this is the path which I copied. So we need to modify, we need to add some forward slash in the beginning, and here we need to replace the backward slash with the forward slash and copy this, and from the run we can open this path. So here we have our SMB share. So let's go to the properties and we will define the permissions here as well. So I'm going to add the group which is AVD comp. So default permission is enough for the session host. Similarly, we need to define permission for the users as well. So now we need to add the users. So I'll go to the edit option and I'm going to add the end user. So in this case, I'm using FS test1. I'll click check names and click OK and apply and OK. Now we have defined share permission for our users as well as session host. Now we need to copy the VHD over here. So I'm going to copy the VHD which I created for my 7-zip. So now we have our VHD which is created for 7-zip application copied to the storage account. The next step is we need to install the certificates on the session host. So here is the certificate. I'm going to copy this certificate and I'm going to install this certificate on the session host. So this is my session host which is 10.125.1.6. I'm going to paste this first and then I'm going to install the PFX. I will select local machine and I'll click next, and then we'll click next again. Here I'm going to enter the password. Click next. Here under certificate store we need to select trusted people. So once you select trusted people, click OK and then click next and finish. So once you install the certificates, you can verify by going to the MMC and load the certificate snap-in. Select computer account and click finish. And if you go to certificates and if you select trusted people, you will see the certificate we just installed. So once this is completed, it's better to reboot the session host. So let's reboot the session host and then we will go to the Azure portal. We will finish the remaining configuration. Now we need to go to the host pool. So under our host pool, we need to select MSIX packages. So here we need to click on add and here we need to give the path for the storage along with the application VHD. So which is nothing but 7zip.vhdx with the path of our storage account. Then we need to click add. So it is now successfully added. So here we can give the name like 7zip, and then we can click on active, and then we can click on add. So now we have successfully added the 7zip application VHD, which is our MSIX app attached to this host pool. So now we need to go to the application group. So here under application group, we need to go to the applications. So here we need to click on add. So under this, by default it will choose MSIX package over here. So if you have multiple application which is in the storage, so you can select, but in our example we have only one VHD, which is 7zip. So here again you can give the name for your application, and then we can click on save. Now whoever is part of this application group, which is under assignment, will get this application. So let's try to launch a VDI, and we will see whether our 7zip will be automatically attached to the virtual machine or session host. So I have logged in with FS test 1 user. So I'm now going to launch the VDI. I entered the credential. I'm going to submit it to launch the VDI. Now we are in the VDI. So if I go to the start menu, and if I see here, you can see 7zip file manager. So basically this application we haven't installed locally on this image or operating system. This is delivered through MSIX app attach from a network location. So if you go to appis.cpl, we won't be able to see the application which is 7zip because we are not installing this locally. So it is delivered dynamically through MSIX app attach from the network share path. So this is how we can offload our application from the operating system, and we can deliver directly from the network location using this technology.